Hey guys, I'm back. I'm like feeling kind of out of it today, so bear with me. I just had my coffee, so hopefully that helps. um, a lot of you have been asking if you remember I used to have a YouTube channel prior, a few years back, a lot of years back. It's been a while. And I used to do a lot of dating advice for guys on how to treat girls and what girls are looking for in a relationship and the do's and the don'ts, kind of like what I'm gonna start doing again. And then I did that for a good couple years, and it was really fun. It was really good. I got to help a lot of people, and it felt really nice. Originally I started that channel, J Love Talk, because it was almost like therapy for me at the time. I was in a kind of a bad on and off relationship. I was in love with a man that wasn't a good man to love. And I almost started those videos because I was seeing all the things that I wished he would have done, or the things I wished we could have done to fix our relationship. And so I kind of just wanted it to help people and help others so they didn't have to deal with the same stuff I was dealing with. And it was therapy for me, and it was so nice to help others. So then I got married. I married the ding dong. I married that guy. It wasn't a good idea, but I had hope in some ways. And we got divorced a year later. So when things started taking a bad turn in the marriage, that's kind of when I lost my motivation for YouTube at the time, because I felt like, I was going through a divorce. I was heartbroken. I was depressed. And I dealt with a lot of pain from that marriage. So I just didn't feel like I was a good example at the time on how to tell people how to be in a happy or good relationship, because I was in such a shitty one myself. And what I wish I would have done, I wish I would have just told you guys what was going on. And there was times I did want to tell and I did want to open up, but I couldn't. If you get my drift, like I couldn't. My ex would have seen, my ex-husband, things would have gotten a lot worse. Things would have been dangerous for me. So I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't be honest. Now I can. I can be honest, and I'm back, and I'm here to be honest. You guys have seen me totally be transparent with my life and my struggles. And everyone knows my history, and so be it. I'm human. I'm just like you guys. We make mistakes. We stick in relationships we shouldn't have. We have high hopes, and love can make us crazy, right? So I'm here to tell you now, I was stuck in a very abusive, mentally, physically relationship for years. And it was one of those relationships back in the day, I would have talked shit about girls. Like, how could you date a guy like that? Or, geez, how could a girl be stuck with an abusive man? Or how could a girl ever let a man treat her like that? Like, I was one of those girls talking crap about those kind of girls. And then the tables turned, and I was one of those girls. I was one of those girls that fell in love with someone that treated them so horribly, that had just constant abuse. And it's funny because these kind of guys, you don't realize it really too much in the beginning. They are sweet. They're usually smart. They have very good business, side of them, and everyone loves them. They're funny, my ex was, he was charming. He was very protective of me, which is very funny how contradicting that was towards the end. I didn't understand how someone can be so protective over you, but later down the road hurt you the most in the world. But there's just these men are smart, okay? And that's what I'm saying. They get you in the beginning. They make you fall in love with them. They don't show you those crazy, dangerous sides. And sometimes you might see them snap, see them get upset, or there might be like little red flags here and there in the beginning, but you just kind of like, oh, you just kind of brush it off. You're just dating. You don't see it as good, So that was my thing, is we dated, and I think at the time my biggest issue now that I look back at that relationship is not having enough self-love. If you don't truly love yourself and think of yourself highly and think of yourself as someone that could be truly loved, you're not going to be picking the right spouse. And I think at the time I was going through hard times in life, and I found someone that I thought wanted me to, protect me and wanted to shelter me. And I felt so nice for once, not being on my own. So there was a lot of things that catered into why I stuck around. And as time go on, you fall in love with this person, right? And then the red flags start happening. And for me, it started off, I would start seeing him flip out just at other people, even in traffic. Just little things. And over the months and over the years, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And you start realizing, wow, this person's, wow, they got some anger issues, and you want to help them. So what do? You try to talk to them about it. You try to calm them down. I started looking up online every day, like, how can I help him with his anger? But it gets to a point where, like, they start making you dependent on them. I started seeing control issues growing and growing. And then the fights start turning on you. They have a bad day, guess what? You're the one to blame. You drop something on the floor or something breaks, guess what? You're going to get yelled at. And if you even, like, my ex was kind of like, if I even asked him how his day was, he would blow up on me because he thought I was spying on him. See, with, like, abusive partners, there's a whole lot of different ways that they can be abusive. And I was dealing with outbursts, and I started feeling like I was walking on eggshells, if you know what I mean. Like, you're scared to talk to them. You're scared to ask anything. You're scared to tell them how you're feeling because they would get mad or tell you you're acting stupid. And all these times added up, you start wondering, like, I remember getting to a point of this and realizing, like, it just makes you feel like a crazy person. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I crazy? Like, these people with emotionally unstable partners, okay? They flip things on you. So also when they get mad at you, they're going to flip it on you. They're going to be like, why did you do that? Now I'm pissed. Or why did you say it like that? Now I'm pissed off. You ruined my fucking day. Like, excuse my language. I'm going to try to watch my language. It's kind of hard because I'm trying to reenact everything. But they flip things on you, and then they make you feel like the crazy person. And it makes you sit there thinking like, did I say something wrong? Did I do that wrong? Maybe I shouldn't have said it like that. And you are literally double thinking you're triple thinking everything you're saying or everything you've done in the past, everything, because they flip it on you. And then you're just stuck there confused as hell, wondering what you did wrong, and you're just dumbfounded, basically. And after all this stuff, my partner would break things. It got to a point where break everything I owned. He would destroy the house. If he got pissed off at me, guess what? All your stuff's gonna get thrown outside. Guess what? Everything you own is gonna be broken. Guess what? Like, I'm gonna, it was always something was gonna happen if he got mad. So it started turning into the point where I was scared of him. I was literally scared of him because I didn't want to have to clean the house and, pick up broken glass every day. You'd throw candles at the wall. It was just, that was his way of punishing me, is if he got mad, I would have to get punished in some sort of way. And it's hard because, these partners, they're so emotionally abusive, physically too. They'll throw things at you, push you, shove you. I would get spit in the face. I've had knives pulled on me. You name it, I've had it. And I couldn't get help. I would go to support groups. I would try to reach out to some friends here and there. I would, try to tell my family, but it was hard because I was ashamed and I was scared to tell anyone because I didn't want anyone else to get hurt. And I just kept hoping that the old him would come back or take over, because they have split personalities also. These partners that are abusive in any sort of way, they have split personalities. They can go from high crazy to a couple hours later, like, forget everything happened and treat you completely normal. They can, the next day, they might treat you so good, tell you how much they love you and they're sorry, and they will not do that again. My spouse even started going to anger management meetings after I begged him over time, and he started doing that. And so that's kind of when, that's when you start getting hope back. And it was literally like a roller coaster, and your head is foggy, and you're really just hoping for those one good day a week. It's sickening. Now that I think about it, it's just so sickening. It's hard to even talk about this, you guys. And because it sounds so stupid that anyone could even be in these relationships. But it's not until you're actually in one and you realize how hard, how mentally draining it is. And physically, mentally, you're crying all the time. You have migraines. You're just tired. You're not taking care of yourself because you're just so sad. And all that over time adds up. So where was it? Yeah, so those ups and downs, roller coaster, you're walking on eggshells. But at the same time, they have those moments that make you feel like, oh my God, I feel better now, like for a little bit until the next outburst. I would call them outbursts. And I even remember writing a journal, and I burned it now. I don't have that journal no more. But even having a journal and been like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 days since his last outburst. I think we're doing better. You know, it's sad. It's really sad that I was happy with just 3 days of not being screaming and crying, you know. And I'm telling you all this because if you are ever in a relationship that is hurting you, that's making you feel stupid, that you're ashamed of, you don't want to tell people about it, you're scared for your life, okay? If you're physically getting harmed, mentally getting harmed, the abuse is just, it only escalates, okay? And I was dumb enough, hopeful enough, because I started seeing positive changes when he proposed to me. And when he did propose to me, honestly, inside my head, I was thinking, no way, you know, no. And I already made a decision at the time. There's no way I would ever have kids with that man. Even though I wanted to be a mom, I knew that would be selfish to have children with a man like that. So I already knew prior I wouldn't do that. Even though he wanted kids. Nope, that's not going to happen. But when he was engaged to, when he proposed, I was seeing more hope in him trying, him really making the effort, and I think we distanced ourselves enough that we kind of started learning what each other did and didn't like, and I thought it was getting better, but realistically, I was only giving him more space, and we were almost living two lives. Like, I didn't feel like I was in his life, you know? I didn't call him every day like I used to. I didn't check up on him. I didn't text him because I was scared he would get mad. Or when he did come home, I just let him do his thing. I didn't ask him how his day was or nothing, because again, I didn't want to make him mad. And I thought things were getting better, but realistically, no, I was just getting further and further distant and feeling less loved. But I was feeling better because we were fighting less. But it was still so unhealthy in so many ways. I felt like I was in a relationship alone. And again, after all the time, the person you love is bullying you and making you feel like an idiot every day, making you feel like you're worthless. And who's ever gonna love you? He would say that to me a lot when you would get mad or call me names. Call me every horrible name you can think about. Just talk bad at you. He was abusive mentally because every time he would get mad, he would do everything he possibly can to hurt you the worst. Anything in your past he knows that hurts you, guess what's gonna be brought up? Yeah. He would do everything he can to just poke those soft spots you have. And that's just so unhealthy. That's the worst kind of fighting you can possibly do. But with all that, just adding on to someone with low self-love as is, and add all that into it, I was feeling so worthless. And he would try to make me feel like should be thankful that he was even loves me or willing to marry me. Or, you should be thankful you have, all the things I do for you. And he would it would just make you feel crazy. I don't know how to explain it. But if you're in this kind of relationship right now and you're hearing everything I'm saying, you know exactly what I'm saying. You know exactly. And the ones that have no idea what I'm saying, I'm glad you don't, because you have to kind of be in it to get it. Anyways, when you, and the whole time we were engaged, things were looking a little better, like I said, but still not good enough to say I do. But I was a retard and said I do already, and we had our wedding, and it was a horrible wedding. It was horrible. That night he got wasted at the wedding, and that night he got mad at me. I think he threw my wedding dress or something horrible, and he called me a bitch, and he just passed out, and that was the start of our marriage. And I swear after we said I do, he told me, when we're married, we're going to work on this. We're going to seek help. He even read the Bible with me sometimes. Like, he would start listening to my books I was reading. So I was feeling like, oh my gosh, this marriage, like, maybe now that we're married, he's going to really, like, give it his best. Man, was I wrong. As soon as that wedding day was over, things were the worst, okay? And I'm talking the worst kind of hatred and the worst kind of love you can imagine. I remember not even 4 or 5 days after our wedding, he was already telling me he wanted a divorce. His first time getting mad at me, like a real fight, and he's saying, I want a divorce, give me my ring back. And it even got to the point where I had to hide my wedding ring, because every time he would get mad, he would rip it off my finger. He would come after me and rip it off my finger. The fights got worse. He would slice up the mattress with a knife, rip my clothes up. He threw a hot burning candle at my face, burned my whole face. And it got to a point where I couldn't handle it anymore. My arms were bruised all the time, and I was just so mentally down. I didn't want to be alive anymore, you guys. It got to a point where I didn't want to be alive. I mentally couldn't take anymore. And there was days where I would be driving on the highway and I would just pray that a car accident would just take me out, because that's how unhappy I was. And it was horrible coming home and scared. And I felt so alone. So I started seeing a therapist that dealt with abusive relationships, a specialist, and she saved me on so many levels. She started showing me of how my past and how my lack of self-love and how my past growing up and everything all intertwined with how I met him, how I stuck through it, and everything. And she started trying to teach me how to pack my bags, and she would even make me have a bag packed and keep it in my trunk and hide it just in case I ever needed to leave in the middle of the night on one of his fights. And so I started coming up with plans, escape plans, on how to get out of that relationship, and because it was not something I could tell him, hey, we're gonna get divorced, or hey, I'm leaving you. I couldn't get out of it. I was scared that I would end up dead, honestly. He would take my car keys away every time I would try to leave. Pop my tire one time. Just everything you can imagine. And on top of that, I had dogs, so it was really hard to just run, because I was always scared he was gonna hurt the dogs. There's just so many worries that come. You feel stuck, and it's the ultimate worst kind of trap. So the breaking point was when he had an affair 4 months after our marriage. Yeah. That was a breaking point, and I'm happy he did have an affair because it was getting so nasty already and so abusive, and I finally had a good reason to tell him it was over, without him blaming everything on me because it was his fault for an affair. So that killed me also, because on top of him putting me down every day, top of him, me feeling worthless and not good enough, and why can't he just love me? Why can't this person that I love so much just love me back? And it's just all these insecurities just grow and grow and grow on a daily. And you love someone so much, but you just don't understand what makes you so unlovable. And then on top of that, they have an affair on you 4 months after you just got married. It just talk about ripped my heart out, ripped me apart. So it was, the divorce was horrible, god awful. I remember my mom flew out one day, and we had to pack up everything I owned within 2 hours and flee the house just so I can get out of there safe without my stuff getting broken, without me getting broken, without something happening. I moved out. The divorce was messy, took like good 6-7 months of just ongoing lawyers. And honestly, I got to a point where we just said, fuck it, just sign the papers, I was scared, but when I moved away, I had to go into hiding for a long time. I had to cut off a lot of people that we were mutually friends with. I didn't want him finding me. I was scared for my life, honestly, and I even wrote letters all over the house and sent it in my email, everywhere I said, if something happens to me, I wrote wills. That's how bad it was, you guys. Without going into crazy details, you can imagine that I didn't even know. I'm just happy I'm here now, you guys. So that is why I had to cut short on my YouTubing for 2 years after my divorce, because I mentally was messed up. How I fixed myself. I will tell you guys how I fixed myself, and you need to do this if you're in a horrible relationship. One thing I messed up on during the relationship is not telling people what was going on. I tried to, but all those insecurities, all those fears and everything, I didn't. So you need to tell people what is going on. No, it's from the outside, it might look all good. Like everyone looked at us like, oh, you guys are so cute together and whatever. In reality, I was dying inside, and people can't see behind closed doors. So you need to tell your family, your friends, you need to tell everyone you possibly can what is going on. So if you need an escape route, if you need help, if you need someone to call the police for you, you have that option. And I didn't do that. And that's a big reason why I felt so stuck for so long, because I kept it inside and I was hoping it would change. Number 2, do not expect someone with this amount of anger and rage to change. I grew up thinking if you love someone, you make it work, right? If you love each other, you make it work. You stick through them, to their side the whole way, and you just love them and you try to help them. No, was I wrong? That is not the route. That's not what you do. And in a marriage, in a relationship, you need to worry about yourself. You need to worry about you first. You can't change anyone else. And that's it. Like, you really can't. And self-love, have self-love. When you have self-love and you tell yourself you have standards, and that is what's key to not even dating someone like that. And if I had self-love in the beginning, maybe I wouldn't even gone out with him again after a few dates, because I would have saw disrespect, or I would have saw things that I was like, whoa, I'm not, you know? Yeah, so healing from divorce, you need to find yourself. It took two years for me to find myself. And it was a journey. Let me tell you what, it was a journey. I read every self-help book. I went to therapy sessions. I went to support groups with women that were healing from abuse and that ran away from their homes because their lives were in danger. And I when you start opening up about it, that's when your healing starts to happen. And that really helped me. And also, I feel like, yeah, I mean, it's like a spiritual awakening, and every day you're away from this person, you need to cut them out of your life 100%. You can't stay friends with them. You can't talk to them here and there. As soon as you escape them and are away from them, you need to hide. Go into hiding. Don't let anyone they know where you live, know where you are. You need to protect yourself. Protect yourself in every possible way you can. I started taking shooting lessons, okay? I own a gun. Like, I mean, you got to protect yourself. I had 911 ready, just ready, a click away. I had that speed dial ready. You have to have a survival kit. You need to pack bags. You need to have escape routes. Even when you're moved out and in a way, you don't know what's going to happen. So telling people, protect yourself every possible way you can. And yeah, finding self-love, all that, learn, grow, and then learning what is healthy in a relationship. Going back into your childhood, I had to do some deep soul searching on how I was grown up, all the things I dealt with growing up, and all the pain, all the heartaches, and just all of that is how that contributes to that relationship, and how it was all intertwined. It really is. How you are with your parents growing up, your issues with your parents. How were your parents example in ways, and how did you learn what love was? And all that intertwines. So with that said, want to tell you guys that I'm a survivor in that aspect. I am, and I am blessed to be alive and away from all that. A lot of people say, like, do you regret all that? Yeah, I mean, I can't say I regret it, because I grew from it. I found myself, and I love myself so much right now. Like, I'm my own best friend, and I don't tolerate nothing nowadays. Like, if someone disrespects me, they are out of my life immediately. If someone treats me bad, looks down on me, negative people, that's why I'm so positive nowadays, you guys, because it took 2 years of complete training every day to know your self-worth, to love yourself, to not let people walk on you. Don't let anyone walk on you. And also, don't believe what people say to you that makes you feel less of a person. And I had to build all that up from zero. I had nothing. I had zero. I didn't want to be alive at the end of that relationship. I didn't. And now I am so happy to be alive. And I love life. I really do. And I'm in a healthy relationship now. And even I catch myself, like, I feel kind of bad for my current my current man. I love him so much. He really, because of my past, he has to deal with some things that can be a lot sometimes. Like, if he even like raises his voice a little bit at me, oh, you should see my face. You should see my face. I'm like like, excuse you? Like, did you just raise your voice at me? Like, no. Like, you better tone it down. Like, I straight up tell him now, like, and that's the difference, is from learning from all that horrible past. Now I have standards. Now I have like guidelines and rules, and I respect myself enough that if someone's gonna disrespect me even a little bit, I will say something, and I will put it to the stop before it gets way out of control. And also learning how to fight in a healthy way, calming myself. I also, the worst thing about my past is I get PTSD, post-traumatic syndrome, you know? So if someone starts yelling at me, I get panic attacks. I go into shock. I start shaking. And I start almost re-feeling those feelings I had in my past with him. And I don't handle fights very well at all. I can't. I run. I run away. And that's what I'm trying to learn nowadays, is dealing with calming myself. If something does happen, I need to learn. I'm teaching myself, and I've been teaching myself for all these years since my divorce, on how to calm myself, how to breathe, meditate. I do yoga, things that is going to calm me and make me realize, like, you're not living in the past. You're not, that's not, all that's not happening again. And I have to remind myself, I'm, you know, what day it is. Like, look around you. Where are you right now? You're not living in the past, and that's how you keep your anxiety down. So yes, all that is going to be very traumatic for probably your whole life. You know, those memories are never going to fade. But you learn how to grow from it, and be your own best friend, and be your own strength, and talk yourself up every day. I spent years telling myself, like, you are smart, you're a good person, you have a good heart, you have enough love in you to love someone. And if you're able to love someone that horrible to you, then imagine how amazing you love someone that's right to you. Okay? So if you're watching this and you've been in a horrible relationship, or you are in one, try to learn from me, because that's like, you don't want to waste years of your life like I did. So you guys, I'm back. I'm here to tell you complete transparency with my life, and hopefully it helps. Okay, good luck.